Warning, the following video contains strong language. Also, this video is more of a rant than a review. Also, we totally forgot to mention that this movie copied Suicide Squad in a scene. Yes, we forgot that epic scene. Okay, we messed up, but hey, Michael Bay messed up the entire Transformer franchise. So yeah, on with the show!
Hello YouTube, Ash here. Welcome to another episode of Special Talks. Continuing on my road to Bumblebee, I have reached the peak of the Transformers series, the best one ever. Definitely not. We are talking about The Last Night. And today I'm joined by Daniel from Halfkocked. Halfknocked? Did I say it right? I always mix up your thing.
Everybody else does. No, everybody on this YouTube thing, for some reason, reads it as half-knocked. No, we're half-cocked. It's a dick joke.
Alright, cool. So I just said it right. Over to Daniel. Introduce yourself.
Hey, YouTube. This is Daniel from Get off of the Christmas tree!
I got him.
Look.
Jesus Christ.
My cats chase each other, and their favorite place to hide is the Christmas tree right next to us stuff. Our star is completely tipped over.
It's
half of the ornaments are on the ground. Balls played flavor. That's Dio, the messenger. This is usual fare for Halfkocked. No, we're movie reviewers. We tend to watch movies in a car right as soon as we get out of the movie because that's the fastest way to do it. I've got a Blu-ray haul show called Shrink Wrap that I do every month. We sometimes talk wrestling on here. Sometimes we do trailer reactions. We're just like you, except with 25% less ornaments. And 75% more beer.
Yeah, I need to start drinking beer or alcohol during my videos. It would probably be better, because you've seen some of my drunk posts.
Oh, that's gonna be some fun. I am totally down for whenever the whole Jack and Coke live stream goes down. I'm here.
Yeah, I should definitely do that. I'll start the bottle, and then by the end of the bottle, no one would be, like, I'd have 1 million viewers, because I'll just be going, yay, what's up? Anyway, let's get to what we actually want to talk. I know, it's good how we're sort of avoiding the film we're going to talk about.
What film? I thought we were just here to talk whiskey.
Yeah, we could do that.
If we got that, I can pull up Johnny Walker.
Yeah, it would be a better video. So anyway, we're here to talk about The Last Night. Now, this film, yes. So I'm a big Transformer fan. I've said it in the other videos. I wasted 2.5 hours of my life, basically. But yeah, so let's over to you and your initial reactions on this great, fantastic film.
Oh, wow. Let me give y'all a rundown. The last Transformers movie I saw was Transformers 2. And the most thing I remember about that movie was the 3-minute long piss I took after it because it was so damn long. It was just so tedious of an affair to watch these movies that I just skipped these two. And watching this one, how much of this movie actually reflects the Transformers that you actually knew? Because so much of this seems to be written out of thin air. This is the worst edited blockbuster I've ever seen. People teleport often. And there's a point where this becomes so quick moving. The first hour actually went by pretty quick for me. And then it was when I clicked and saw that I still had an hour and a half left, and I kept checking every 10 minutes, because that high of stupidity goes down and goes down fast.
To answer your question, basically, I think we have like 5% of the Transformers that I know in this film. You know, I think that 5% will account to Optimus Prime's name and Bumblebee's name. And Hot Rod's name, but not his character.
Was he French in the show?
No, in the show he was one of the most important characters. He actually, when Optimus Prime died in the cartoon, he became the leader of the Autobots, and he was a really good hero, and he was definitely not French.
And so now he's reduced to basically flirting with Megan Fox version 3 and doing... the coolest part about Hot Rod is the Lamborghini he transforms into.
Yeah, and I like how his miraculous weapon which is an OP weapon, it can pause time and that, like... Where the hell was all this technology? Where's this, you know?
Where was he in the other movies? Like, if you're gonna have a time bubble, why don't you use that all the time?
Why don't you, like, give all the Autobots this weapon? Because, you know, it's OP. Like, just stop time! Like, Optimus is gonna die, stop time.
Instead of shooting it to save people, he could have shot it at that big, like, laser in the sky just to stop it, you know, give them some more time, but, you know... Your Deus Ex Machina doesn't really work well when the rest of the movie's stupid.
Everything is just bad in this film. Like, it's even managed to make Mark Wahlberg worse than the last film.
There was a point where I was watching it and I turned to my wife and I'm like, this is the guy that was in Deepwater Horizon. I don't know what happened here. It seems more like Marky Mark just gave up on this one.
I think everyone gave up on this one.
I think he did. There's a point. Everybody except the girl that plays Isabella. I think she's actually trying and like shedding tears and really giving a decent performance.
That was a first big film, so she had to try. You know, I've got Marky Mark. Well, I've got 10 films lined up after this. I don't really need this.
Marky Mark has already Daddy's Home 3 lined up, so he's good to deal with. Okay, so are we in full spoilers here? Because I had a question.
Yes, we can do full spoilers. If anyone hasn't seen this film, don't see it. I mean, don't watch. Just don't watch this film. Be honest, so we can spoil it.
All right, quick question: was Unicron ever Earth in the Transformers thing?
In the original cartoon, he wasn't. But there was some versions, which I think is Transformer Prime, he was based in the Earth. But he was still a big robot, and so not this, whatever this was, you know, as well. They just ruined Unicron, as they've ruined everything. But yeah, there was one of them where he was sort of based something in the Earth. But not like that.
No, because this movie has this fantastic way, like most modern blockbusters do, of like, we have this ancient secret, and using these maps, these triangular decisions, we'll find out it's connected to Pangea, because that's a thing that was in a geography textbook. And where else? As soon as they started doing the whole like triangle where the horns thing, I was like, you're not gonna do it. Please, God, don't break my heart. And then Stonehenge, and I was like, oh my God, you people.
Yeah.
You people are so full of shit.
And I love how they keep changing when the Transformers have actually the first time they've arrived on Earth.
Thank you! After watching like the first two, I was so completely lost. Like, there's the giant medieval dragon made out of guardian dude. Guarding it from what? Like, this goddess chick that does nothing except whisper?
Yeah.
And she's gone for like a good 45 minutes of the movie after you see her. It's crazy.
But then she shows up in the post-credits scene. That's important.
As this Asian lady? Which I was sitting there, I was like, movie, are you really trying to do a sequel tag here? Okay, what's your sequel tag? Bring on Unicron. And then no, it's like, well, I'm the goddess again, and we can stop them again. I was like, so your sequel tag is basically to sequelize the new version of the same movie. Yes. Why are you wasting my time, movie?
Thank God it really did terrible, this film, because it actually ended Michael Bay's, relationship with Transformers. Thank goodness. People finally realized Michael Bay is just, I don't know what he's doing. He's just, let's explode this, he's been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
I think what I found in this one, unlike movies like, I love this particular movie, Armageddon.
I do. Armageddon is really, really fantastic. I enjoy Michael Bay films. I like The Rock. I like the first Bad Boys and Armageddon.
And what I've noticed with this one over everything is that Michael Bay just feels lazy. Because when I say worst edited blockbuster, you've heard the idea of the aspect ratio.
Yeah. It changes.
And it's just, you have 4 cameras. These shots, like, it's not that they're completely incompetent. It's not a Tommy Wiseau thing. You do see that somebody who has directing experience has done this. They just don't care about making things match. So it's not like in Dark Knight where you're watching the regular movie and then when you're in the big shot, it pops to IMAX and it stays that way until it goes back again. No, this guy's just like, all right, I got 4 cameras, just wrestle them together, do something with it. And that's what makes this to me worse than the other movies, is because you can tell that this guy just doesn't give a shit. So if you don't give a shit, why are you making a movie?
Money. There we go. I think if the film made another 1 billion, he would say, "Ooh, let's go back because people still love my films." And it's, as you said, lazy job, and I'm just made loads of money. I love how they actually just got Stanley Tucci, who was in the last film, but they put him as the medieval drunk person at the beginning.
It is such a whiplash to me of just sitting there. The movie starts, and I'm talking to my wife, and I turn back to Paramount. Stars explode into fireballs. I was like, okay, I know this. And then pops up. It's like somewhere in the Middle Ages, and I'm like, what? And then Stanley Tucci shows up, and he spends like a 5-minute... Look, if you're gonna film in like these giant Scottish Highlands, whatever, show it off. Show the vista that you're in. But Stanley Tucci's just sitting there, we have to talk about... I have the English crowd, and we need to help everybody. Please save us. And why would you shoot Stanley Tucci from this fucking close? It's ridiculous.
And as I said, he was in the last film. He obviously didn't have enough of being a complete idiot in the last film.
I also would love about that scene is that when he's talking to nothing. And then out of nowhere, this giant Autobot leg just pops into frame. And I'm like, what happened? That's what happens with this movie. Like, scenes don't transition. They just move. And Marky Mark teleports from being at a truck driving these kids away to being back at the site where he originally was fighting people to get captured. And it happens like that. And I'm like, how did this lead to this?
And I like how you mentioned the little girl. As she said, she's good in it. And I like how halfway through the film, well, 1/3 through the film, she doesn't appear anything, and then they just like shoot her in the last tree. Oh, we've got this character. Let's do something with her. Then she gets taken there because we forgot about her. Let's just add her in the last bit. Take her into the war zone because that's what normal people would do for kids. Just take her into the war zone.
I remember just sitting there thinking like it was like Suicide Squad and that katana scene where she just shows up. She's just there.
I'm here, by the way.
There is a part of me, though, that kind of likes that little, what's his name, Squeaks, that little blue thing. It's kind of fun, because he's kind of like this little infantry dude, and he can sneak in, and I feel like he would be part of the team. I feel like he could have his own character outside of the girl, because the girl doesn't really do anything outside of, I'm an orphan tough kid in a movie, which I haven't seen since, 1992.
We haven't talked about it, but let's talk about the Oscar-winning Anthony Hopkins in this film.
I love Anthony Hopkins in this movie because Anthony Hopkins is one of those dudes like Gary Oldman, and I mentioned it in the Robin Hood review, Ben Mendelsohn. He's one of those dudes that commits to, he knows exactly what the movie he's portraying in, and he's going to put his 100% into it. Whether it's something like Collide from last year, which was a complete dumpster fire of action, or this, Anthony Hopkins just has a presence that makes me want to watch him. No matter what.
And it's cool that you see him like saying, dude, and you need to go whoopee, and like things like, as you said, he just convinced, but he does it so seriously, and you think, what's the world come to? Anthony Hopkins is saying like dude and stuff like that, and talking about sex, and...
He's talking about something about, he says the word bitchin' at one point, and it just made me smile, because I love Anthony Hopkins just willingness to commit. If you haven't seen Collide, you don't need to watch the whole movie. There's a great bit in the middle where he's talking to Nicholas Hoult about, I think it's like the Rocky series, and he says something along the lines of glory, glory, hallelujah, but he's like screaming it at the top of his lungs, and it's just this glorious, unabashed, like, it's like a kid in a middle school play. He's just completely willing to do everything for this role. And that's kind of what I loved about this one, him hobbling around in action scenes. There's a genuine laugh I got in this movie when Anthony Hopkins gets blown up at the end and you just see a giant Anthony Hopkins flying in the air with his cane. It's like, old man down! I almost rewinded it, but then I would have had to stay longer in this movie.
Yeah, you don't want to stay long in this film. It's if possible, fast forward certain things. I love how the science guy is saying, science will solve everything. It doesn't care if there's giant robots fighting or magical things happening. Science will save us at the end. And like, dude, shut up, man. No one's paying attention to you.
Well, no, it leads to one of the bigger problems of the movie, which is if, like, the scientist guy, the military guy, Marky Mark, Anthony Hopkins, the lady at the History Museum, there are so many moving parts in a plot that doesn't need them. With the scientist guy, he's discovering that, like, this planet's coming to Earth, but the military guys are discovering about this staff, and I thought, why do these people know exclusive information? I feel like they should be, like, knowing what the other one knows, but it never happens until the very end. And, in a world where Transformers not only exist, but have existed long enough to become a government nuisance, have been outlawed, you're fucking talking about magic and shit not being real? When there are fucking giant robots and Ultron-sized planets in the sky that are about to collide into Earth. Again, shut it.
No, science is real. That's it. Science.
Only science, yes. And of course, they had to bring up the long, tired thing where Marky Mark says something about, like, he uses the Arthur C. Clarke quote of any technology that is advanced enough can be indistinguishable from magic.
Michael Bay just decided he wanted to do the Da Vinci Code at one point. Like, you know, her father leaving clues. What are we filming, Transformers? No, let's just make it into Da Vinci Code.
All right, we're gonna have them rummage inside this office building, and then the ladies downstairs that think they're fucking. What was that? Why did I need to waste 60 seconds of my time just watching these old bats trying to figure out if they should go upstairs and, like, try to see Marky Mark's dick? There's an entire movie about that.
Yeah, just go watch Boogie Nights.
Exactly. And of course, the riddle has to be inside a pop-up book. Like, she pulls it out and then looks inside the thing, and I'm just like, come on, man. The last Tomb Raider was less complicated than this.
I like how effective the Dinobots are, which they show up in a bit and then they vanish. Like, Grimlock is eating police cars and, like, spitting them out.
You know, for as much of a hard-on as Michael Bay has about the military, he often shows them getting blown up and screaming in terror and agony. You ever notice that? Yeah. Like, he has those, like, glorifying shots of, like, we need to show off this entire base and, like, the true American hero, and then finally dinosaurs get them at the end.
Yeah, like, he does it in all the films, like, great, lovely shots of, like, aircraft carriers and, like, the mirror, and, like, 2 seconds later, poof.
You ever notice that there's, like, a specific kind of Michael Bay explosion? That it's like a fireball that starts up, maybe it's, like, a couple inches higher than where the actual thing happened, and it's just the same standard explosion. It doesn't matter where it is. It's like this CGI monstrosity.
He just reuses stuff, to be honest. I actually heard that if you go through the Transformers films, in some of them, you'll find scenes that were in the previous one.
There's this great Red Letter Media video where they watch the first three Transformers movies at the same time, and they'll note specific plot points happening within seconds of each other. So Michael Bay is really just recycling the same script and giving it a different color palette and not a color palette, he's just giving it a new slap of paint.
No, he does, and as I said, he uses extra bits of there, the plots are nearly some. You know, every single Transformer film, they have to find a MacGuffin. This time it's the staff, the first one it was the cube, the second one it was the Matrix, just... Dude, yes, we get it. Thank God Bumblebee's coming out shortly, and the reviews have been good so far.
Yeah, I've noticed.
To be honest, they're saying it's the best Transformers film ever, which, anything could be better than the best Transformers films.
I mean, when the bar, I can step over it. It's not much of a bar to clear. Although what I really appreciate about that one, seeing the trailers and seeing this, just the design, the fact that I can actually tell which Transformer is which just because of a magical thing called color. This movie doesn't embrace it. And it made me realize that Michael Bay is all about finding the largest, the loudest, and the longest way to say something. I mean, it's a movie where the camera never stops moving. It's always doing a lateral movement, something up here, and then there's always a shake with it. So it's kind of like this, and then you move on. And the problem with some shots, I think when they're going up to the castle, it starts off with the car here and the castle here. So I'm supposed to be focused on the car, but the thing's moving and it's going this way, so I've suddenly lost focus of what I'm supposed to be looking at. And that happens so often in these movies that's why it gives you a headache, because you don't know what the hell you're supposed to be looking at.
No, it does, and another thing that he always does is his films are always so long. Seriously, like, every single one you could, like, chop, let's say, 30 minutes off every single Transformer film, and they would be better. There's a lot of pointless, useless crap in every single one of these films. Every film doesn't need to be over 2 hours.
The closest contemporary you can probably compare him to would probably be Roland Emmerich. And something about Roland Emmerich, like, for some reason I think he felt the need to top what came before him. The idea of, like, this is an action movie, this is Independence Day, and so we've got a bunch of different characters with different subplots, we've got these big explosions, these crazy explosions that no one's ever seen before, so I'm going to take all these characters, all this plot, I'm going to make this movie feel long to feel grand, to feel epic. I want to make the biggest blockbusters on the face of the earth. And the problem is that you don't have a story that's big enough to back this up, or ludicrous enough to back this up, like Pain and Gain.
But I do like the point that you said that the new one you can actually tell because they've got color, and these ones you can't, like, they're just black versus grey, and like when they're fighting, it's sort of like lately like Venom, like the ending of Venom, when everything was mutated and you think, who's winning?
And it would have been so easy had they just made Riot like pure white, just so I could understand what is black, what is white, versus this amorphous like weird metallic gray that just doesn't work because it's shot at night too. They have lens flares, but then there's darkness.
I have no idea why they do certain things. Audience like to know what's going on every so often. Oh, another thing less thought about this film, a great thing, is when Optimus turns evil and then Bumblebee miraculously talks to snap him out of it.
Okay, I'm fine with that to a degree because that's like a payoff of the movie, you know. He spends the whole series not knowing how to talk, but then he like afterwards he starts talking in his radio voice again for a second until the very last shot of the movie. So I was like, wait a second, you're telling me he can elect to do this? Like he chooses to do this? What's the point of your arc if you're gonna go right back to the old way? It's just Michael Bay throwing things in there for the sake of a joke, for the sake of adding more to this movie without understanding how things worked previously. I think that's what he does in like the first hour of this movie, is he just stacks the deck with so many things and characters and ideas and nuances that by the end you're just kind of cycling between them like you're it's like you're changing tabs on your computer, but like doing it really fast, so you're just sitting there like staring at like flashing images. How about, and I kind of want to watch this movie, how about that Nazi flashback?
Oh yeah.
Yo, once Anthony Hopkins told me that Bumblebee killed the Nazis, I was down. I was so ready to watch this movie. And of course, all the explosions are the same. Even in 1944, they were all like these big fireballs that Transformers are shooting and shit.
They were even in the medieval times, the fireballs were there. So.
Yeah, all the explosions are the same. And of course, the Transformers were there to help Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass during the atrocity of slavery. And then, of course, at the very end of this shot, you've got a frazzled Shia LaBeouf just sitting there with some of the greatest icons of our history, fucking Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, and then, like, everything, even, they said, that's the watch that killed Hitler. It's a Transformer, don't touch it. And they're like, dude, what?
It's like, what? Where was this movie? I want to see a movie about the Transformers that killed Hitler. Like, if you're gonna go absurd, go ahead and take it there. Don't tease me with better movies, Damon.
We want to see that movie, not this. I think we've mentioned the worst of this film. Honestly, this film is a chore to watch. It's not going to be something you're going to re-watch anytime soon. In fact, I hope I will never have to watch it again. But I tell you, to do these reviews, it's been a chore. Cause watching them, because I watched most of them like back to back.
Yeah, I don't envy your job, man.
Oh, so many explosions and like literally headaches because you trying to figure out what's going on, you know, all the time.
I've noticed this. The human eye is not trained to handle that kind of thing. That's why people get sick. Like I love this movie, but Hardcore Henry. The human eye, like if your body is not moving this way, your eye is not trained to follow all of this. So I can totally imagine how that would give you a side-splitting headache. Do the movies just start to blend it for you? Can you still like pick out specific plot points of each movie?
A bit, yes. Number 3 is the worst, because number 3 is the most unforgettable, because it's boring and that. But the others, they all have this sort of like crap moments which stick out. You know, like I know that the second one, we have the big robot with the balls.
I'm currently under enemy scrotum.
Yeah.
Which John Turturro brings back. He starts talking about like books made out of cat scrotum, and I'm like, why would you do this? Why this image? You know, out of all the things you could have told me, cat scrotum. I already look at that. It's right there, attacking my tree.
Yeah. No, I like. Oh yeah, John Turturro came back in here. I forgot. You see, I forgot. He's in Havana, isn't it? Cuba? No, Cuba.
Wait, quick question. Does he actually do anything? Now that I'm thinking about it, because I know he has a point where he's trying to extort Anthony Hopkins for a book, but I don't remember that book ever coming in to like solve anything.
I think Anthony Hopkins then finally found it and like tore a page out of it or something like that.
Yeah, and yet I don't think that ever comes back.
No, it just shows you that he tore the page and like just so he can have John Turturro back in it, you know.
John Turturro and like this weird relationship he has with like playing basketball with the robot, which kind of seems like his jilted lover. It's like, man, you always say 5 minutes and that means never. And in another movie that'd be kind of cute, but in this movie where there's just too much shit, I'm just get out of my screen.
It's just there to add another big name in the movie, and we've reached the end of this discussion on this great film. You know, as I said, I really hope I never watch it again. I know we touched on it a bit before, but are you interested in watching Bumblebee, and do you think it's going to be better than this?
We originally, and we may still do this, we do this series called Worst Predictions, where we look at trailers of movies that just look terrible and decide to think like, oh, what's the worst, craziest thing that could happen about it? And, I mean, I have some ideas for Bumblebee just because we came into it thinking it's a Transformers movie, it's going to be like the rest of them. But after watching it, especially the last 2 trailers, I'm cautiously optimistic because it just seems simpler. You know, it's a girl and her robot. And I've seen that kind of a blank and their blank before. And this one just seems pretty simple. I like the shots of Cybertron. I don't think we've ever actually seen Cybertron in full action.
No, just little glimpses, like 10 seconds and it's gone, stuff like that.
And I'm not a big Transformers guy. I didn't really even watch the cartoons. So the fact that I can look at Optimus Prime and be like, that's Optimus Prime. And I can look at Starscream, that's Starscream. I know what that guy looks like. I think just bringing it back to basics is the best lesson that this series could have learned. I am interested to see where they're going to go from this particular point, because it seems like a very self-contained story with a probable sequel tag, and we'll probably bring Megatron and everybody else in the next one. But so far, like a back to basics return. Good actress. I really enjoy Haley Steinfeld, and I think she should be in more stuff. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna give this my marginal seal of approval. Maybe like a half sticker. I'll put the full sticker on when I see the movie.
I haven't been hyped for a Transformer film since I heard that the first one. Kind of get the same feeling because I'm a big Transformer fan, and as you said, that you can actually recognize the robots. You know, and you, like in the trailer, say, oh, Shockwave, oh, Soundwave, oh, Rabbit, you know? So you can actually recognize them instead of like, who the hell is that?
Like, with this and something that's been floating on a trailer, like that Sonic the Hedgehog poster that's been going on, yeah, it just goes to show how much people rely on design. And if you get that traditional design wrong, or if you get a design in a way, you know, not everything has to translate perfectly. Look at Detective Pikachu, very different than what the original show. But if you do something with the spirit of what was originally intended, people will follow you to the ends of the earth. I mean, the MCU is 10 years proof of that. So I like just keeping it simple now and focusing on that design first and foremost.
Yeah, and as I said, it took them, the first one came out 11 years ago, and it took them 11 years to finally get Optimus Prime looking like Optimus Prime. So fingers crossed, you know, so hopefully. So that's it for today. I'm going to pass it over to you, Daniel, again. Tell them where they can find you. Obviously, I'll put all the links below.
All right, you can find me on YouTube at Halfkocked, cocked, not knocked, with a capital K in the middle. You'll find it in the links below. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Halfkocked. And if you want to follow me, because I do a lot of posting about our stuff, you can find me on Twitter at Royal Screw-Ups. Hang out with us, talk movies, and shit on this terrible movie some more. I would love to just get into a rage rant into every stupid spoilery thing that's here, but I don't have 3 hours, so... you know, do it in the comment section.
So, once again, thank you for being on the show. If you did like this video, hit that like button. And also, as Daniel said in the comments, let us know what is the worst part of this film. So we're going to have lots of comments because there's lots of crap things in this film. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and I will see you next time. And also, if you're new to the channel, because I forgot to say this, it's important to say this. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button too, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.